I've been saying this for a little while now, but I feel like we are days, if not weeks away from the Republican Party and MAGA as a whole just wholeheartedly embracing Flat Earth. The level of conspiracy mongering and conspiracy believing has gone off the chain in the last year, honestly. And all the conspiracy theorists who are continuously proven wrong, their response to it is just to say, looks like we were proven right all along. We just end up being right. And they don't end up being right, like ever, but they falsely claim they are, and it works. And so conspiracy theories are continuing to get more and more traction. Those who peddle them are continuing to get more and more confidence in their lying, especially as they continue to be left without anyone calling them out that has a significant platform to make them feel any pressure to consider what they've been told. And that's been something that's been very frustrating for me for a while. And I think most of you guys have been really worried about the direction America is going in, and I guess a lot of the Western world as well, due to the popularization of a lot of these conspiracy theories, which, keep in mind, almost always lead back to anti-Semitism. The most dangerous of all of them, arguably, is probably anti-vax conspiracy theories. And unfortunately, they have gained a pretty substantial boost in popularity over the last few years, particularly since COVID. And it's gotten to the point now where there is an industry around opposing vaccines and peddling misinformation around them, and very strong, big social circles that will shame you and even try to make you feel like you're some kind of criminal or immoral actor if you are pro-vaccine. And so, thank God, a real doctor who makes some really good YouTube content, by the way, named drmike, recently went on Jubilee to essentially recreate the events of Doom 2016, where he's Doom Guy and the group of anti-vaxxers that he is set off to debate are the demons. He 1v, I think it's 1v30s them, if I'm not mistaken. And he does really, really well. I watched the whole Jubilee video, but here's the thing about that. We can't watch it on stream. Jubilee is horrendously aggressive when it comes to copyright, and it doesn't matter if it's fair use. If you're streaming a response or reaction to a Jubilee video, they will take down your stream and ask questions much, much later. Thankfully, though, drmike made a follow-up video that I think was better than the actual debate itself, as good as it was to watch him rip through those people. drmike uploaded a video called The Truth About My Anti-Vax Debate. And it has literally, this video has a stamp from YouTube that says, from a doctor licensed in the US. I really like that feature. That is a cool feature, that YouTube will literally mark your video as made by a licensed doctor. That's pretty fucking based. Now, drmike came out to essentially reflect on this debate, and what I really want to watch about this isn't just his following up on certain arguments he made to strengthen them or respond to points made that he couldn't respond to in person, but more so his discussion about how this problem of medical misinformation and anti-medicine is getting so big that it's getting to be dangerous for everyone. Humanity relies on herd immunity, and never before has there been such a strong movement against humanity allying together against disease and plague. Now there is a side that is pro-disease and plague, and their actions do not only affect them, they are going to bring these diseases back to affect us for generations to come. And their defense will be, it's their freedom to do so. We will have to live in a world where polio ravages America again, and you don't get to say that's fucked up, because they have the freedom to decide they want to get polio and spread it around. That is the America that we exist within, and that, I imagine, really scares drmike, and he talked about it a bit in the debate, but I have not watched his reflection segment here. People have requested that I do. And of course, a link down below in the description to the original video that we're about to watch here. Go send some support, of course. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and watch Dr. Mike's breakdown of his debate with those anti-vaxxers and his discussion about how much bigger of a problem medical misinformation is getting to be. Let's do it.
Is there anything I could say today that would change your mind?
I'm just asking your opinion.
I'm asking you a question.
Probably not, because I actually read and study.
I would like to give you my knowledge, my experience.
It's a very infuriating debate, by the way. Like, he demolishes them, but they're too stupid to recognize they're getting demolished. They just kind of smugly smile and act like they somehow got him in a gotcha. It's like sometimes they'll state a medical fact and be like, you're going to say insert medical fact. And he's like, yeah, because that's the response to what you just said. And they'll sit there like they got him or something. It's like the most infuriating shit ever.
And what I've seen in the hospital system. But if you're telling me right now, no matter what I say, you're not going to change your mind, is there any value to that?
Now listen, Mr. Doctor who went to medical school. I actually study this shit. Nothing you can say will convince me because I actually study this shit, Mr. Medical School.
I had a debate with 17 vaccine skeptics on Jubilee's Surrounded series, and it went on for 3 hours. It was an interesting experience for me. I learned a lot, as well as gained...
It's really neat to be able to see such like a wide, colorful cast of retards. Like, everybody comes from like a different walk of life. This seems like the kind of group that you would see in like a Knives Out type movie, you know, where it's like a murder mystery. And you've got like the cast of like different characters that are all like you got the old white guy who's like old fashioned, the like random like Instagram influencer lady. You've got the like buff like Chad. Like you've got all these different people that come from all different walks of life and like kind of fill different archetypes of different types of people you might meet. And they're all anti-vaxxers that are here to argue with them. And I feel like that kind of hammers home the point that like young and old, cool and nerdy, athletic and hipster, there are anti-vaxxers everywhere, and their numbers are growing at terrifying rates.
Very valuable experience. But there were about 5 points that I felt were being repeated that I want to address today. Huge thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this video.
My third child, he got a vaccine that the doctor said were safe that caused him brain issues for the rest of his life, and he has arrested hydrocephalus.
Gave vaccines to the baby, and the baby had seizures.
My mother was vaccinated with
Ooh, okay, so here's the... You guys cannot tell me if I do... All right, I'm not going to recognize people if they are influencers more likely than not, because a lot of these people they bring on are like TikTok influencers, like right-wing TikTokers. I think this lady is a media-trained right-wing TikToker. I'm using nothing other than like the way they present their arguments and talk. I'm going to try and correctly call out whether or not someone is a influencer on the right that he's debating, because this lady is talking like a media-trained influencer. She's emoting like a media-trained influencer. I think she's some big right-wing TikToker or something.
Vaccines to the baby, and the baby had seizures.
My mother was vaccinated with the flu vaccine. And right after 3 days later, she received half of her face was paralyzed.
A through line through
She
many
got
of the
Bell's palsy.
conversations was people sharing anecdotes of someone having a negative reaction to a vaccine. I can't and I shouldn't really fact check that. I took everyone at their word. I thought everyone was discussing all this in good faith. And then at the end of the day, vaccine side effects do happen. They're incredibly rare, especially serious ones, but they do happen. In fact, I had to highlight this during the episode that
The biggest weakness that we have against these misinfo merchants is that they're liars. And they will just say whatever is the most beneficial to whatever ends they're trying to push people towards. But we're trying to tell the truth, and sometimes the truth isn't always the most attractive, right? Sometimes it's easy to frame truthfulness and honesty as dishonesty. Famously, the way the CDC handled COVID is often maligned, even though, all things considered, as easy as it is to, like, you know, look back and say, oh, well, we should have known this, we should have known that. You know, the CDC didn't know that masks, whether or not masks would be effective. And so it was best to safely say, like, all right, a lot of doctors and first aid responders need these, and they're getting bought out, we're going to request that people do not buy these masks, that they social distance and they quarantine instead, while we provide and make sure that medical workers have enough of this PPE. And there were a bunch of other situations like this where the CDC or the like our health departments like went back on something they claimed before when it came to COVID, and anti-vaxxers love to poke holes in that and say, how can this be science if they're always changing their mind? When that's literally what all that science is about. But to really dumb people, inconsistency looks like dishonesty, or it looks skeevy or mischievous or dishonest. And so anti-vaxxers and misinfo merchants are usually pretty consistent with their lies, because their lies are always meant to funnel people to the same general conclusions. And so it's easy to just make up your lies and to not have to make any caveats, not have to walk anything back, and just to double down, double down, double down. And even if you're proven wrong and you double down, somehow to a lot of people that looks better, like doubling down after you're proven wrong, that looks better than admitting you were wrong and amending your position, which is objectively the more honest thing.
When you compare how pharmaceuticals are treated in research versus vaccines, vaccines have such a higher level of scrutiny because they're given to healthy patients. As opposed to pharmaceuticals, we allow a chance of higher rate of side effects because we're getting the trade-off of a major benefit. When someone tells us that they started experiencing a medical condition after getting a vaccine and they attribute it to a vaccine, I think you need to be very careful and think, yes, about correlation and causation, whether or not two things happen at the same time or one caused the other thing to happen. A great image representation is this. I'll give you another second, is this. And also think about the natural incidents. For example, people who—
Guys, that seagull must just weigh like a billion tons, dude. It's just a super heavy seagull. It like bent that metal pipe with its weight, clearly.
who are 60 plus years of age have heart attacks. Now, if someone was to get a vaccine and then have a heart attack a week later, was this a natural heart attack or a vaccine-caused heart attack? How would we know? We would study those who have gotten
the
vaccinated
vaccine
versus those who haven't, and compare that natural incidence versus the incidence of people who have had vaccines. And if that rate goes up, now we start getting worried, we start investigating, we issue warnings. We've actually issued warnings about vaccines in the past because of the careful monitoring we do as a form of post-market surveillance.
Risk versus benefit, correct? Maybe you can give your viewpoint, whether maybe you're for—
I am glad that we've got to the point now where, unfortunately, the Democrats and the progressive establishment in this country is not doing what's necessary to establish a media stranglehold on the like environment of entertainment. But there are a lot of professional people with their own platforms that have been doing this for well over a decade of their own accord that are unintentionally helping to fight back against this right-wing misinfo culture war storm. I think figures like Dr. Mike, Hank Green, and Legal Eagle are great examples. They're not like dedicated political figures. They're educators and they're specialists in what they do. And because of that, they don't fall for right-wing misinfo. And when they educate people, well, reality has a liberal bias, as they say, so it's going to educate people in a way that's going to lead them at least away from right-wing propaganda and conspiracy theories. And I think that's probably one of the best things we have going for us right now, is that people like Bill Nye, people like Hank Green, Dr. Mike, and Legal Eagle, and reasonable people that we know are educated, reasonable, and have a dedication to truth and informing people, are, whether they mean to or not, are going to be countering this right-wing misinfo wave that we're dealing with.
or against a court ordering the children to be injected with something that there is no harm to. But now we're seeing actual harm with the vaccine. They didn't die from the disease. They're dying from the vaccine.
Side effects versus benefits. Now, every time we do a medical intervention in healthcare, whether it's physical therapy, a surgery, a medication, a vaccination, we always want to think about the ratio of benefits to harms, and the benefits should always be outweighing the harms. And if we're not thinking about it, we're doing something wrong. So he pointed out how one of his daughters was getting a vaccine against his will because the mother of the child wanted the vaccine. But the reason the court sided with the mother was because they believed it was in the child's best health interest to get the vaccine. He brought in some data and he followed a pretty good and logical approach here. He said,
these anti-vaxxers are putting people in their lives through hell, because there are countless situations like this where one parent is like rabidly pro-Trump, anti-vaccine, like this dad, and the other parent is not, and it's like, no, I am not going to let your insane opinions about politics affect the health of our child. And that is exactly what the conspiracy theorist believing father thinks as well. So from the perspective of the anti-vaxxer, they have every responsibility to pursue legal action against their family, to stir up their life, get them in court, and try to get custody of the kid, and it leads to divorces. And I've heard of stories of kids sneaking out in order to get vaccinated because both their parents won't let them, or one parent won't, and the other is just not, like, doesn't have the leverage in the relationship, I guess, to argue against it, or can't stand up for their kid. And it's led to these horrific family ruining situations where both sides think the other is condemning the child to death, and one side is right. The one that wants to get the kid vaccinated is right about that, but the other side believes it fervently enough that they're not going to give up. They're going to keep on pushing no vaccine, no vaccine, no vaccine, and maybe even go on some show to complain about it in a debate with an actual doctor.
why would I give my child this vaccine when in my area there have been 0 pediatric deaths? I didn't fact check that, but even if there were pediatric deaths, they were very low from COVID-19. Why would I give my child a COVID-19 vaccine when, looking at the data, the pediatric deaths from COVID in his area were quite low, if not 0, when in the VAERS database, it looked like there were thousands of deaths from receiving the COVID-19 vaccine? Now, following that logic...
Who remembers when there was a conspiracy theory they were pushing for a while about the VAERS database reporting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of vaccine deaths, and in reality it was just complete bullshit. It was made up. They dropped it after like a week or two. You never hear this term used anymore.
Thousands of deaths from receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, following that logic, you could say, why in the world would you make a child get vaccinated? Well, you have to understand what the VAERS database actually represents. This is a vaccine adverse events reporting system. It's an open,
anyone can report
reporting system. When we count the deaths from...
Like, anyone can go there and report anything that any vaccine they claim they got could have done to them. It's basically as secure as a Steam review page in terms of, like, is this, like, are these verifiable claims of adverse side effects to the vaccine? Who remembers the one lady? Oh my god, this is my favorite of the right-wing things they did. Who remembers when all the anti-vaxxers were uploading videos of themselves, supposedly with tremors after they got the COVID vaccine? They were like putting out videos where they were like shaking their legs uncontrollably. Like, very clearly they're doing it, and it's like, this has been happening to me ever since I got the COVID vaccine. And it's like the most clearly fake bullshit ever, and there's like a bunch of people uploading these. The people who are faking videos of fridge magnets sticking to the spot where they got the vaccine. Because not only, they don't understand medicine or science at all. It's like very much a child's understanding. So even if, as you know, even if there was something about vaccines that made your blood magnetic, it wouldn't make the area of injection more magnetic than anywhere else. It wouldn't just be magnetic on the area of injection either, which is what a lot of those videos tried to claim, because they would just put glue around the injection area. And so, like, people were falling for it. Oh, the spoon thing? Yeah, oh my god, dude. Oh, fuck. Let me see if I can find one of these videos. Hold on. Faking vaccine side effects. Let me see if I can find any of those videos. They were so fucking funny, dude. Ah, no. A lot of them were shared on Twitter, and now you can't find stuff like that through Google Images that's on Twitter, because Elon got rid of that. Ah, man. Anti-vaxxers faking. Let me see if... Dude, it is actually so criminal. It is so criminal. The only thing I can find on this is an old, like, 4-year-old Hassan video talking about it. Because all this shit has been buried and no one talks about it anymore. We just let the most embarrassing shit the right does just, like, fade into obscurity forever. And then it's, like, forgotten and impossible to dig back up. We really need to get better at, like, preserving the most embarrassing moments of the right and never letting them live it down. There's a reason why if you look up Triggered, you'll see a picture of that one, like those 3 people, you know, always. You recognize them anywhere. You could find a picture of those 3 people, or any given right-wing propaganda video clip that you need to find, you could find it in an instant. They made sure you can find it if you need to. I'm showing my grandma your content now, and she likes your content. Hell yeah, TSW Shadow Wolf. Hello, TSW the Shadow Wolf's grandma. I hope you continue to enjoy my content. Sorry for the swearing if you're not a big fan of it. I do it quite often, so bad habit. I apologize. Anyway, back to it.
COVID. We count the deaths through the CDC legitimate system that's actually monitoring death certificates, sometimes overcounting deaths, but they're actually doing the work to verify those deaths happen. On the VAERS side, when you're talking about these thousands of reports, they're not verified. There could be duplicates, there could be falsified reports, there could be reports of things happening as coincidences. What VAERS is useful for is if we start seeing a pattern emerge that is actively investigated by the CDC and the FDA, and then we're able to catch vaccine issues happening in the greater public. It's one of the data reporting systems that we use after the launch of a vaccination program.
In Japan, they don't start their vaccine schedule, I believe, until 2 years old. Autism is almost non-existent.
So they don't cause autism, you're saying?
Correct.
At all?
Correct.
This part of the debate was probably the most infuriating. All of them claim that vaccines, they all believe the vaccines cause autism thing. And when he states the fact that vaccines do not cause autism, they all put their flags up and the camera pans to all of them, making their most, like, bewildered, how could he say that? How stupid could he be face? Like, they're doing their most, like, expressing how stupid they think he is for saying vaccines don't cause autism face. And it's just like they're doing their most smug, like, he's so wrong face. And it's like, oh, God. The smugness in that room could be cut with a butter knife.
Well, that's news to me.
You can't have a discussion about vaccines without the topic of autism coming up. And there is some truth to the fact that autism rates have gone up. And people have tied that to the fact that children get more shots than they
As we all know, correlation always equals causation.
did in the past. However, this has been very firmly established as correlation. And again, I'm going to show you this image because correlation does not equal causation. And I'm comfortable in saying this because there's been so much data disproving a causal relationship between vaccines and the rise in autism. There's been a study in Denmark with over 500,000 children. There's been a study in California, in the UK. There's been a meta-analysis in 2014 that included 1.2 million children. There's been 20 plus studies on the subject, and they all uniformly agree that there is no causal relationship. The only time it's actually been even discussed has been by a fraudulent study done by the person named Andrew Wakefield, who's been discredited. The study has been debunked, and he's actually lost his medical license. And that was done on only 12 children. So are you going to trust the research of millions?
That Andrew Wakefield guy is kind of the grandfather of much of the... So right-wing pundits will claim something over and over and over again. They'll have no evidence for it, no scientific backup for it or anything like that. But they'll just keep claiming it until something comes along that they can use to frame it like they're right. And one of their favorite things is when a specialist in a field comes along willing to parrot what they're claiming. And Andrew Wakefield is one of those people. He is an ex-doctor who entered the anti-vax space. He's pretty popular throughout like the conspiracy space in general. He's, I believe, also big on like the flat Earth stuff and the chemtrail stuff too. lizard people and all that. And so they find these people, and as long as they've got doctor in their name, that person can say anything and use themselves as credibility. And it's an extremely effective tactic they've employed ever since Gamergate. They've been doing it. Like Jordan Peterson is a great example of how the right has used people that have academic accreditations in order to push misinfo. One guy is supposedly a more valuable source of academic knowledge than the entire academic field that they're attacking.
Millions of children across different international lines, or one dude who's been discredited based on 12 case reports. Oftentimes, misinformation out there can be amplified by the news media, which is why I'm excited to tell you.
We made it to the sponsorship point of the video, which is probably where I'm going to cut off our watching of it, since I don't want to just watch the whole video at all, or in the first place, because then, you know, you guys wouldn't go and watch it at all on your end and give it a view and send a like and stuff. So make sure you go send some support to the original video. We love Dr. Mike here. Make sure you're subscribed to him as well. Now, I wanted to say, I am so glad that we have people like him and people like Legal Eagle and Hank Green out there on the internet combating this misinformation, even if they're not dedicated progressive figures that are trying to specifically combat MAGA. They are out there dedicated to debunking misinformation and educating people about the truth. And that is MAGA's biggest enemy. That is the biggest enemy of the Republican Party, conservatives, and Trump's cult. You don't have to be a progressive to be something that they fear. And Dr. Mike is quickly becoming what they fear. Doom music starts playing. Anyway, I really do appreciate you guys watching this video, as always, and if you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and a comment on my video, not just Dr. Mike's, and my streams as well. Likes go a long way to boost my channel in the algorithm, and comments added on top of that kind of compound to force YouTube to push my stuff out to more people, and it really does help the channel, so please consider it. It means a lot. Of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias, linked down below in the description. And if you want to make sure to be tapped in on the hub of my community, you want to join my Discord server, which is also linked down there. It's the main hub of my fan base, and it's where I announce all my new uploads and streams, and I even host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights there every week, every Friday generally. And so I really do hope to see you guys there as well. Finally, if you feel like going the extra mile and you can afford it and you want to, then consider supporting the stream financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, and buy some Xander Hall merch to the Streamlabs link down below if you want to, and it really does mean a lot. Regardless of how you support the channel though, even if you're just a lurker, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.